Whenever I work with companies, I always ask them, think about all the projects you're doing and put them in 3 boxes. How many of the projects you're executing today will be in box 1? And box 1 is about manage the present. It's about improve the performance of your current businesses the way they are constructed today. How many of your activities are in box 2? And box 2 is about selectively forget the past. And how many of your activities are in box 3? And box 3 is about create the future. Manage the present, box 1. Selectively abandon the past, box 2, and create the future, box 3. And what I find working with organizations is organizations way over focus on box 1. And then they think they're doing strategy. While box 1 is terribly important, strategy is really about box 2 and box 3. And the challenge for companies in box 3 is how are you going to create your future 10 years from now? And if you want to create your future 10 years from now, you have a job to do in box 2. Namely, you have to selectively forget. And let me clarify one thing right away. Strategy is about leadership in the future. But strategy is not about what you have to do in the future. Strategy is very much about the projects you're executing today across the 3 boxes so that you intersect with the future. Another word for box 1 is competition for the present. Another word for box 2, box 3 is competition for the future. As leaders, you know competition for the present is just as important as competition for the future is. Therefore, strategy is really about how do you create your future while managing the present. And the reason why this is a challenge is the thinking process and the execution methodologies you need in box 1 are fundamentally different than the thinking process and the execution methodologies you need in box 2, box 3. Yet today, you better have box 1 projects. But today, you better have box 2, box 3 projects targeted at that future. Yet there are inherent conflicts, inherent paradoxes, inherent tensions between the two. This is the central leadership challenge. In fact, what I'm going to tell you is a very simple message. Because it is simple to say does not mean it is easy to do. And the simple message is future is now. Future is not about what you have to do in the future. And the reason why this is so hard is today you have 2 jobs to do. One job is in box 1. Another job is in box 2, box 3, inventing that future. Yet they require different people, different capabilities, different structures, different processes. This is the central strategic challenge. Let me take a minute and highlight what the fundamental difference is between box 1 projects on the one hand and box 2, box 3 on the other. Competition for the present projects, box 1 projects, are always in response to what I call clear signals and linear changes in your industry. Because you're responding to clear signals and linear changes in your industry, the organizational response would be incremental improvements in your current business model. Call it Six Sigma quality, call it continuous process improvement, call it operational excellence. These are all powerful ideas, but they are box 1 ideas. Competition for the future projects, box 2, box 3 projects, are always in response to weak signals and nonlinear changes in the industry. Because you are responding to nonlinear changes, the organizational response has to be breakthrough innovation, exponential innovation, nonlinear business model. Now, what might be an example of a nonlinear change in the industry which gave rise to nonlinear business model? If you want to take a look at the last 2 decades, I would say the internet itself was a nonlinear shift. Why? Because nonlinear changes will drive nonlinear business models. Concepts like eBay, Amazon.com, Google, Airbnb, Uber would not be possible without a discontinuous shift called the internet. Now, what might be some of the nonlinear changes that may impact your industry, say in the future, which can give rise to box 2, box 3 ideas? Certainly, technology will transform every industry, for sure. But technology is not the only source of nonlinear shifts. There could be huge customer discontinuities. Customers of the future could be fundamentally different than the customers of the present. If they are fundamentally different, they will demand box 3 innovation. There could be non-traditional competitors who could come into your space and force you to remake yourself. By the way, everything that I'm describing to you looks so simple. Why is it then so hard to do? One way I can explain why box 2, box 3 is so hard to do is by taking a metaphor from sports. What I have here is the gold medal winners in high jump in Olympics. Olympics, I suppose, started in 1896. So we have got about 100 plus years of data here. When you plot the 100 years of data of gold medal winners in high jump in Olympics, what you immediately see is there have been 4 box 2, box 3 non-linear business model changes. And only when there was a non-linear change in the style in high jump could the high jumper go to the next level of performance. The first style in high jump was scissors. By the way, even today, if someone asks you to do high jump, I bet you will use scissors. Think about it. Suppose you're walking on the road and you find a little rod. What do? You kind of jump over it, just like the way a hurdler would jump. Inside every organization today, you have lots and lots of scissors. When scissors is the style in the high jump industry, and if you're a high jumper, you have a job to do. What is the job? Accept the rules of scissors and become the number 1 person in the scissors in the world. This is what I call box 1 challenge. This is about continuously improving the performance of scissors. Is this important to do? Absolutely critical. Why? Because the scissors you have inside your organization still has many years of useful life left. But what I'm saying is 100% of the resources you allocate today cannot be about improving the efficiency of scissors. You can do that only if you're absolutely confident there will be no more nonlinear changes in the world ever. Unfortunately, whether with you or without you, non-consumers will become consumers in the future and demand box 3 innovation. Disruptive technologies will open up all kinds of box 3 possibilities. Non-traditional competitors will enter your space. That is why, in addition to allocating resources to strengthen your current scissors, you must allocate resources also for box 2, box 3 breakthrough innovation experiments, which will transform the scissors. By the way, if in the high jump industry we have never done any breakthrough innovations, high jumpers cannot achieve the performance they are achieving today. In 1896, when scissors was invented in the high jump industry, the very first high jumper did 4 feet 2 inches. Suppose in the last 100 years we didn't do any breakthrough innovation. All that we did was to simply continuously improve the performance of scissors. High jumpers cannot achieve the performance they are achieving today. Today, they easily go over 8 feet. That is impossible with scissors. Why? You see, scissors is a hurdling motion. If you use a hurdling motion, the center of gravity will define how high you can lift your body. That is why if you want to beat the center of gravity, you have to change the business model. That's what somebody did and came up with the Western roll. If you don't understand that picture, what happens in the Western roll is you run up to the pole, you kick off of your right foot, you clear the bar, but unlike scissors, you still land on your right foot. So you're going to kick off of your right foot and still land on your right foot. That means your back is to the pole when you clear the pole. That was in vogue for about 25 years until someone invented the Eastern roll, which came to be called the straddle. Again, as the picture shows, what happens in the straddle is you run up to the pole, you kick off of your right foot, you clear the bar, but unlike Western roll, you land on your left foot. So if you're going to kick off of your right foot but land on your left foot, that means your belly is to the pole when you clear the pole. That was in vogue for about 25 years until someone invented the Fosbury flop. To no one's surprise, it was invented by Dick Fosbury. Again, as the picture shows, what happens in the flop is you run up to the pole, then you launch with 2 feet straight up in the air, and once you launch yourself like that, then you twist your body 180 degrees, just like the way a gymnast might twist his body. The twisting motion was a box 2, box 3 breakthrough idea. The twisting motion allowed Dick Fosbury to break out of the center of gravity and elevate quite a bit high. Again, imagine what happens in the flop. You're running up to the pole, you're launching straight up, then you are twisting your body. That means you are still straight up. Therefore, as the picture shows, the very first thing that crosses the bar is your head. If you stop to think about it, Fosbury flop is the most illogical way to do high jump. Why? For one thing, you're not even looking at the bar, you're looking away from the bar. For another, head clears the bar first. For 100 years in the high jump industry, we were told leg must clear the bar first because leg lands first. Whereas in the flop, actually head clears the bar first. Then it is your neck. Then it is your back. In fact, the leg clears the bar the last. You literally land on your head, so to speak. This is the central leadership challenge. Today, you must allocate enough resources to make your current scissors perform even better. But today, you must also allocate enough resources to do some box 2, box 3 experiments so that you can transform the scissors into a Fosbury flop. What have I said so far? What I'm saying is, go back to your organizations and take a look at how many projects you're executing today which will be in box 1. And box 1 is about closing performance gap. And how do you close performance gap? Through what I call linear innovation. You can call it Six Sigma, total quality management, operational excellence. These are all powerful ideas, but they are box 1 ideas. At the same time, ask yourself the question, how many projects you have which will be in box 2, box 3. And box 2, box 3 is about closing possibility gap. You cannot close the possibility gap by using the same principles that you use to close the performance gap. The way to close possibility gap is through what I call nonlinear innovation. Perhaps this is what I'm trying to tell you. For your organization to be a leader in the future, your possibility gap is a lot bigger than your performance gap. If you really believe that, then ask yourself the question, how many projects am I executing today which will address that possibility gap? In the 3-box solution book, we go into depth as to how can companies successfully create the future while managing the present. How can they close the possibility gap when they are managing the performance gap? I will distill 3 important principles. Number 1, as a CEO and the leadership team, you must ask your business units and the departments and the functions to give plans separately for box 1 and box 2, box 3. The initiatives should be identified as a box 2, box 3 initiative or a box 1 initiative. That's number 1. Number 2, you must allocate resources separately for box 2, box 3 as compared to box 1. Not only you should allocate resources, but you should ring fence them. Sometimes I find companies allocate resources for box 3 projects, but then when times are tight, they redirect it to box 1. And the third principle is you must not evaluate box 3 on the same criteria by which you evaluate box 1. Box 1, it is okay to evaluate them on financial metric, but box 3 is a bet on the future. It is just an experiment. Therefore, the right way to evaluate box 3 is not accountability for results, but accountability for learning. And accountability for learning essentially means is, can the box 3 be set up as an experiment, testing hypothesis, trying to convert hypothesis into knowledge, trying to convert assumptions into knowledge, try to evaluate them on a rigorous assumption testing methodology. The 3-box solution book goes into great depth on these 3 important principles. But the book essentially highlights 3 very important points that I want you to take away. 1, why is the 3-box balance so important? 2, why is the 3-box balance so hard? And 3, how do you do it? All the best in reviewing the whole book.